GM. Today's lesson, I'll talk about having a realistic mindset for how to really achieve things. So I'm going to give you a technique, a little trick you can play with yourself to stop yourself from slacking. So if you feel like you get lazy or you lag or you slack off in your work during the day, and let's say most of the time you're doing well, but whenever you feel a bit confused or you feel a bit tired or you didn't sleep well or you feel a bit sick, you allow yourself to slack off. So I'm going to give you a trick that you can use to counteract that. And then also, anytime you feel like something is getting hard and you want to quit, it's going to counteract on the same part of your brain. So, if you want to stop being lazy, if you want to stop skipping things, if you want to stop procrastinating, and this even goes for if you want to stop smoking, or you want to stop eating sugary food, or you want to stop drinking alcohol, any negative habit that you want to do, the real barrier, the thing that stops people from stopping, right? Everyone knows that they should not procrastinate, right? You should not be lazy. But the thought of having to be super hardworking, productive, always at it, it's overwhelming because you think about it as in the rest of your life. And this is what stops people from quitting alcohol or quitting cigarettes, right? Instead of thinking about, I just should stop smoking cigarettes today, they think, oh my God, I could never quit cigarettes for the rest of my life. The framing is wrong. The way you need to frame it is just tomorrow, right? So if it's about quitting something, it's just tomorrow. If you want to quit cigarettes, you're not quitting for the rest of your life. You're just not going to smoke tomorrow. And then the next day, you're not going to smoke today. And the next day, you're not going to smoke today. That's it. It sounds simplistic, but that is it. It's a form of being present. It's a form of almost like detachment. You're like, no. I don't care about 2 days from now. Right? It's Wednesday as I record this. I don't care about Friday. I've completed Wednesday. I didn't smoke. I'm not going to smoke tomorrow. That's it. Friday doesn't exist. 1 day at a time. So that's how you frame it if you're wanting to stop a bad habit, such as, something like physically addictive, like the act of eating or playing video games or any of that bullshit, any of those dopamine traps. But the other one, which is harder for you to identify, is just the general laziness, where you do your work, you get up, you do some, and then you find yourself just lagging. You're not playing video games, you're not watching YouTube, you're not smoking, you're not drinking, you're just, I'm tired. I know I need to do more back tests, but I'm tired. I'm going to get some dinner, and then you take an hour getting dinner instead of 30 minutes. And you're like, I'm going to have a shower, and you take a shower for 30 minutes instead of 10 minutes. And you go to bed early because you're tired. It's those just general low energy moments. The way to counteract that is something I actually first heard from Jocko Willink, which I'm sure you've all heard of him, like the Navy SEAL guy, who's like a motivational speaker. I listened to his audiobook years ago, Extreme Ownership, and it's a good book. A lot of it's kind of stuff you'd expect to hear from him. But one thing that was really, really, really good that stuck with me was the concept of you can quit tomorrow. So he used it in the sense of, what do you do if you wake up and you feel, and he's talking about training, physical, exercise, the gym. Well, if you wake up and you feel sore, you feel your muscles are stiff, they're aching. Maybe you feel like you've got a cold starting. Maybe you feel a little bit just under the weather, you feel a bit sick, you've got a headache, whatever. He says on that day where you feel like that, you go anyway. You go anyway. And you prove to yourself that nothing bad will happen. You're not going to die, and you get all the positive benefits of having done it. Even if it's a shit session, even if it's a poor session, you don't train well, you're weaker, you still did it. But here's the important thing, and here's how to stop any genuine burnout. When you do it, you say, not today. But tomorrow, if I wake up and I still have a headache, I still feel sick, I still have feel like a flu, then I won't train, then I'll rest. Then my body's telling me to rest. But what he said that he found, and I can 100% attest to this is absolutely true for me, was that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you'll feel great. You go to the gym, you've good energy, good sessions, you get them in. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you'll do your work, you'll do your back testing, you'll tick everything off your list, all your to-do list done. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you'll not drink, not smoke, not eat sugar, whatever it's going to be. And then Thursday comes, and just for whatever reason, maybe you didn't sleep that well, maybe there's just something going on, whatever, it could be anything. You just don't feel it. You don't feel the motivation. Not today. I don't want to train. I don't want to do this, don't want to do that. You just override your brain that one day, and you say, no, we're going to train today. We're not eating sugar today. We're not smoking today. We're doing our work today. I know I feel tired. I know I feel brain fog. I know I feel all that stuff, but I am going to do my back testing. I'm going to do my cold outreach. I'm going to put my Shopify store up. Whatever that task is that you normally would slack on, you just do that. And you say to yourself, if I'm genuinely still feeling like this tomorrow, I'll take a rest. Because if you still have that feeling of genuine fatigue or sickness or headache or whatever the second day, then maybe you do need a rest. But most of the time, all you needed was to not be a little bitch and just push through that one more time. That's the key thing. The key thing. If you're genuinely in need of a rest, your body will tell you. But most of the time, it's just our brain that's used to a pattern of being lazy. It's used to a pattern of giving in to the temptation. It's used to it. And so because your brain knows that you will give in and you'll smoke that cigarette, you'll drink that alcohol, you'll eat that sugar, you'll slack off and go to bed early, you'll skip your work, you'll skip your workout in the gym. Your brain knows this because you've done it before. And be honest with yourself, you've done it before. I've done it. We've all done it, right? We've all been lazy at times. Your brain knows it, and your brain knows that if it makes you feel tired, if your brain subconsciously plants that in, it knows it'll get what it wants. And what it wants is to do nothing. It doesn't want to do the hard work. You have to override it. So you must override it and say, nope, today we're doing it. If my body is genuinely telling me I actually need a rest, it will tell me tomorrow. And try this. I 100% guarantee that every single person will find improvement from this if they haven't been already doing it. And you'll wake up the following day. I've done this so many times. Countless times. And the best example is the gym. Those days where you're aching, your legs are sore, your quads are still sore from leg day, you don't feel like it, you go to sit down, it's sore, it's stiff, trying to get up, I don't know, I could just not train. Force yourself to train and tell yourself you can have the next day off if you feel like it. When you wake up, if you don't feel good, you'll take the next day off. Every single time. I would wake up the next day and I'd be like, I feel great. And it's more mental than physical. It's the mental satisfaction of knowing I did something I did not want to do. Actually, something, last thing. I was going to finish here, but a last little bit of knowledge. I listened to the David Goggins and Andrew Huberman podcast on the plane when I was flying back from Christmas. And obviously David Goggins' whole thing is do stuff you don't want to do, right? He does crazy, insane shit because he's got like fucking essentially just demons in his head. And that's what makes him feel better, right? That's like his therapy. And Huberman talked about it from like a scientific aspect. And there is a part of your brain that grows when you do things you don't want to do. Literally, it's nothing to do with physical. It's in your brain. If you do something that you genuinely don't want to do, you develop resilience. You actually develop a part of your brain that makes you tougher and stronger and more emotionally and physically resilient. But it has to be, here's the key thing, it has to be something you don't want to do. If you enjoy going for a jog is not going to fill that. But if you absolutely hate doing hill sprints will build that muscle. Let's call it a muscle. I'm not a fucking neuroscientist. It's not a muscle, obviously. It's part of your brain, but you understand what I'm saying. And it's like the ice bath, okay? Anyone can go and swim in the swimming pool. Even though it's not warm, it's not terrible, right? But getting into an ice cold bath and staying there for 3 minutes is not pleasant. If you don't like doing it, that's why you should do it. And the exact same thing, I think that story aligns perfectly with the story from before about the day you don't want to train, that's the day you should train. Because the days that you feel full of energy and you do want to go to the gym, you don't build that resilience because you're enjoying it. The days you feel really motivated to do your back testing or to do your cold outreach or to do your sales calls or whatever, they're not the days that you build resilience. They're the days when everything's good. But life is not about doing things when you want to. It's about doing things anyway and just proving to yourself and putting it in your brain that it doesn't matter. We get shit done. And actually, there's another example of this that I heard this years ago. If you're British, you'll know who she is, Paula Radcliffe. And if you're a fucking running fanatic, you might. Paula Radcliffe is a marathon runner, a lady from the UK, and she was basically like world champion. She's probably the greatest distance runner that the UK has ever produced, I would guess. Certainly the most famous. And she had a mental trick that she played on herself while she was running a marathon, because a marathon is 26 miles. That's not fun. You start out on mile 1, no matter how many times you've done it, if your mental state is not right, because a marathon is far more mental than physical. If you start out on mile 1 and all you're thinking about is, holy shit, I've got 26 to do, it's much harder to actually persevere and push through. What she did is in every race, she would wear gloves. Just gloves. You don't need gloves to run a marathon, but she would wear gloves. And she would tell herself, I can take these off at the end of the next mile. And so she would just focus on the next mile. And the reward was going to be, I'll take my gloves off. And then she would get to the end of that mile, and then she would say, just one more mile. I'll take them off at the next mile. And she would play this trick on herself every mile and do it over and over and over. And even after doing dozens and dozens and dozens of marathons, it still worked. It shows you can brute force your brain very easily. You can trick yourself very easily with these mini rewards and then not actually taking it, saying, no, just one more, just one more, just one more. And that's the same kind of logic of, I can rest tomorrow. I can rest tomorrow, but not today. I can rest tomorrow, but not today. And if you ever genuinely need to, your body will tell you, what you'll find most times is you don't need to.